I mean, you have guys that are going to go to the NFL Hall of Fame and played mostly cover 2 their whole career. When you're looking at a high school kid, how can you tell that he's going to be ready for the workload that he gets here at corner?
Well, you look for guys that have traits. Number one, physical traits, the ability to run being probably the biggest, but have some size. You know, it's a big man's game now in the skill position as well. So if you have small corners, it's awfully hard to play the style of play we like to play. And then the intangibles, you know, is he a good teammate? Is he a guy that's going to work at it? Does he love the game? So there's a lot that goes into it, and it's not, you know, there's no guy doesn't walk around with a sticker on that says I have all these things. So it takes time because you have to develop relationships and figure out if they're a good fit for us or not.
Greg, can you assess the play of Jordan Fuller?
He's getting better every week. I think as he logs more and more experiences, he gets more and more comfortable, and you can see him just starting to bust out of his shell a little bit, and he looks like he's comfortable again, like he did when he was in high school. And now, we're not naive. The competition is on the rise now, and we're going right into murderer's row here. So, but this will be another new thing for him. And although he was, he started in the Oklahoma game. So,
Greg, I apologize if you talked about this already. Chris Worley, where is he on his path back to full health?
I think he's getting closer. I think when you're a football player and you have something wrong with your foot, it's hard because every cut, every step wears on it. So we've really tried to be careful with his workload, because if you've ever dealt with that, if it goes the wrong way, it can really go bad fast. I think he feels better. All indications are that he does, but just got to be smart.
And we know Tuff has done a good job. We're just trying to figure out the way Chris was used in the last game and how Tuff was used. When Chris is fully healthy, is he your starting middle linebacker?
I think so. But we'll have to see when he's healthy. Where we are. I hate to ever predict that stuff because everything is so fluid. We may move a guy to another linebacker position and Chris play, or move Chris. Who knows? I think what we try to do is deal in the present. And right now, we felt like he could handle those nickel reps. That's basically what he did. Played a little base, but mostly nickel reps. And I think that's a good way to ease him back into the action. That was our philosophy in doing it. I know Chris wants to play more. I just want to make sure that we don't set him back where he can't help us. We need him.
Is there any concern about the pass defense, given that just the couple of big plays that were given up in the second half?
It always is. When you give up plays in through the air, you have concern. And I thought we played really, really well in the first half, which was a continuation of the way we had played the week before. And then in the second half, we didn't play. Now we did make some changes in personnel, but there's no excuses. Whoever's on the field, the 11 guys that are on the field are the 11 starters, and we have to make plays. So, yeah, I think there's a sense of urgency about that since there's been since the beginning of the season, really.
Are you calling a more aggressive game progressively throughout the season?
I don't know. I think every week's different, based on what you know about them, how matchups are, if there's any strong tendencies, so I think it's week to week.
How much of an advantage is it? Do you have an extra week to prepare for Penn State?
Well, I think our bye comes at a good time. There's always that party that says we're kind of on a roll here, but I also think it's a long season. Training camp started a week early this year, so we've been at it for a while. So, I think they had some time off after the game. They'll have some more time off this weekend. As much mentally as anything to recharge them for that stretch run.
And last year, you had to go to Wisconsin at night, to Penn State at night. This year, they're at home, but it's at night, and then they have to come here. How much of an advantage is it for the home team and disadvantage for the visiting team?
Well, it's always great to be in a horseshoe. It doesn't matter who or when, but I think that's part about going on the road. That's what makes why it's harder to win on the road than at home.
Greg,
How's
we
Damon
talked
Webb?
about how important it is to get a mental break with the bye week, but with as few snaps as some of the starters have played recently, are you able to attack the bye week a little harder in practice than you otherwise would? Get them a few more snaps or something like that? Or no?
Maybe, but I think that the reps are inconsistent. I think the D-line has lower rep totals. I know Damon Webb played 56 plays, Jordan Fuller 53, 56, whatever it was. Now, that's not a full game, but that's pretty close. So I think every coach has to do a good job of managing his reps. We set a template or a practice schedule that there's this many plays, and then it's our job to manage our position and make sure that, the neat thing about the defensive staff is every one of them is experienced coaches. So they understand when to put the pressure on, when to pull it off. And I think so far it's been a really good week. We have one more day of work, and if we can close it out the way we did the first 2 days, it'll be a productive week.
How has Damon Webb played this year?
I think he's played well. Yeah, I mean, he's in charge of a lot out there. He's got a new guy with him in Jordan, and I think they're really starting to get a chemistry together. But, when you turn it over every year, it's, there's something to having, especially at safety, when you have your safeties, just when they play for a while together, they almost don't have to talk. They know what each other are thinking because they watch film together all the time. They're in meetings together. They practice together. So I'm hopeful that's where we're headed right now with those two guys.
How much has he helped pull Jordan forward?
Say that again.
How much has he helped Jordan get situated and settled in there?
Well, I think he's helped our whole room. I really do. I think Damon has, he's the elder statesman, the guy came into this season with experience, and he's a very smart football player. So he helps me. Forget stuff. He's like, "Hey, coach, remember we said this?" I'm like, "You're right." So he's really a sharp guy.
With Jordan getting more comfortable, do you give him more responsibilities, more tasks, new things each week?
We expect more. Is probably the way. This past week with Arnett's suspension, he played nickel, so he had a different job on sub downs, and he really did a good job. I mean, I was pleased with the way he did that. So, there's the old saying, the more you can do. And he's starting to get to be that guy. So.
Was Damon the same way last year, or did he need to kind of fill the void with Malik and the corners heading in the NFL?
Who are you asking about? Jordan. Damon was, wasn't a starter either coming into the year, so he was kind of getting his feet under him, as well as he was the guy making all the checks back there. So it was a big responsibility on him. I think it's easier for him this year with the experience he has.
Coach, how much of a different approach are you going to take to Penn State, given what their offense has been able to do up to this point this year, compared to some of the teams that you've been playing who haven't had as good of an offense?
Well, every week we game plan, right? So we have it's like going to a buffet, there's all the food there. You're not going to eat everything. That's the same way our defense is. We're not going to, certain weeks we have certain calls that we say they're up. I mean, they're live. And that's what training camp's for. You get all the stuff ready, and that's the whole menu. And then you select what fits best against the team you're playing. And, the challenge when you have 2 weeks is you have to make sure you don't put too much on that menu. That game plan, because you have a little extra time and you really watch them and study them extra, and you got to make sure, because it still comes down to what do the players feel comfortable doing.
What's the staple on the plate?
Huh?
What are the staples for the plates? What do you have to have?
Well, you got to have quarters, you got to have man free, you got to have some blitz stuff. Those are always going to be there, and it's just kind of it's really the percentages that each gets in a given game plan. And you try to predetermine that, but the games twist and turn. Yeah. And this game, the first half and this past game, they stuck right to their personality. Second half, I think they, with the exception of a token run here and there, it was throw every down, which I understand, but that's not who they were. So you have to be ready to adapt.
What has been the emphasis this week? Urban Meyer said, obviously 303 yards passing last week by them. Isn't what he'd like to see. A couple of those came on some chunk plays, as you call it, but what's just the emphasis this week in that regard, Greg, of shoring things up?
Well, I think it's details. At this level, at the highest level of college football, the margin of error is so slim. And one little step here, one little misalignment there can be the difference between a 77-yard play and a 7-yard play. And unfortunately, some of that has happened to us this year. We have to be more detailed with what we're doing. We're playing awfully hard. I have no complaint with that. Just need to be a little more detailed, and that's kind of been our emphasis.
And one thing, you see this from the other side, but what have you seen that's really intriguing to you about y'all's offense when they've gone against y'all, especially the passing game? It just seems a lot more, I don't know if intricate's the right word, a lot more pro-looking or whatever, with crossing routes and things like that, shallows. I mean, what have you seen that intrigues you about, compared to this time a year ago? The changes.
The guts of our offense is the same. It's always going to be the same. It's the Ohio State offense. There's been some things that enhance the offense, and when you enhance it with some different concepts, if they're great concepts like they are, they not only show in that concept, but they make your other stuff better. So there's a bleed over, you know, and yeah, I'm very impressed. I mean, I don't get to watch them ever, unless we're going against them.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but you
know,
do
my
see
back's to the field, and since we had a little time this Sunday, actually, they have those replays of the game. I actually watched our own TV game, and it was fun to watch. And I didn't realize J.K. ripped that one off the sideline. You know, I hear the crowd cheer, and you know, I hear on the headset, "We're up."
Yeah.
And that's
He's
what
a
I
pretty
know.
good player.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Coach.